A few decades ago, a battery was basically just that heavy little cylinder you dropped into a flashlight, right? Today? Well, today it's a multi-billion-dollar engine driving a massive global technological revolution. Welcome to this explainer. We are looking at the power of batteries, their present, and for sure, their incredibly fascinating future.
Okay, let's dive right into this. We're going to structure our journey today by looking at the battery revolution, then the global battery race, the supply chain reality, the merits and demerits, and finally, we'll zoom in on the solid-state future.
But before we get into the weeds, I want to pose a question to you. What is the most important technology of the 21st century? Now, if you asked 100 people on the street, you'd probably hear, oh, it's AI or software, maybe quantum computing. But the real answer, the silent enabler making literally all of those other miracles possible, it's battery infrastructure. Think about it. Without advanced power storage, our modern digital and physical worlds just stop spinning.
Section 1. The Battery Revolution. To really grasp the scale of this shift, we need to zoom in on the sheer volume of devices we interact with every single day.
And this brilliantly illustrates what we're talking about across 5 main pillars. First up, consumer electronics. Your phones, smartwatches, laptops. Without batteries, portable tech simply doesn't exist. Second is transport. This is probably the most visible shift, right? We're talking EVs from Tesla and BYD, sure, but also electric buses and airplanes. Entire fleets are ditching combustion. Third, renewable energy grid storage. Solar and wind are fantastic, but the sun goes down and the wind stops blowing. Batteries store that daytime electricity to make renewables actually practical for the grid. Fourth, medical. It's kind of crazy when you think about it, but a cutting-edge 2-ton EV and a tiny life-saving pacemaker basically rely on the exact same underlying concept. And finally, industrial and defense. Everything from factory robotics to satellites. Batteries went from being these invisible, disposable components to the absolute indispensable engines of modern life.
So, why is demand rocketing so aggressively right now? Well, it's a perfect storm of massive global drivers converging all at once. We're seeing a unified push for clean energy, alongside a heavily promoted expansion of electric transportation. Add to that our sheer reliance on portable tech, and, riding above the whole shebang, are the global goals for reduced carbon emissions. Governments worldwide are aggressively pushing and funding this. This isn't just organic consumer demand anymore. It's a structural, top-down shift in exactly how human civilization stores and uses its energy.
Section 2. The Global Battery Race. Because, as you can imagine, a technology this vital isn't just a product. It's a high-stakes strategic geopolitical asset. Now, what's really interesting about this is seeing how different global leaders are playing the game. We've got 3 totally distinct strategies racing for dominance here. First, China. They are the manufacturing giant. Through companies like CAT-L and BYD, China leads with massive government investment, staggering production scale, and a really tight grip on raw materials, which keeps their costs lower than almost anyone else. Contrast that with Japan, the innovation pioneer. Giants like Panasonic and Toyota, who actually helped kick off the whole lithium-ion revolution to begin with, are heavily focused on research and next-gen tech. Their game is quality and innovation. And then there's South Korea, the technology specialist. LG and Samsung are carving out their turf by focusing on premium, high-performance EV cells and lightning-fast charging. So scale, innovation, or premium performance, it's a fascinating global race.
But hey, the race definitely doesn't stop in East Asia. Look at the United States. They're rapidly growing their footprint through titans like Tesla, but really leaning into the software side of battery management, massive grid storage, and systems-level research. It's a very tech-forward approach. Meanwhile, India is an entirely different, massive frontier. Think about their sheer population and the impending explosion of EV demand. With strong government backing, India is aggressively developing local manufacturing and recycling to meet that future need head-on.
Section 3. The Supply Chain Reality. Now, fair warning, this massive global race we just mapped out, it relies entirely on a few critical and honestly quite fragile bottlenecks.
Because you could design the best battery in the world, but if you don't have the materials, you literally can't build it. Battery production is incredibly hungry for critical minerals, and let me tell you, those are not distributed evenly across the globe. We need lithium, mostly coming from Australia and Chile. We need cobalt, and get this, the vast majority of the global supply comes from just one single nation, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. We also need nickel and graphite. But here's the kicker, having the raw dirt isn't enough, you have to process it. And that is where China has built a formidable bottleneck, controlling over 70% of the global processing infrastructure for these minerals.
So our whole clean energy transition is heavily dependent on specific geographic locations.
So the crucial point is this. It's simple math. Disrupted supply equals expensive batteries. Because this production is so centralized, single points of failure, whether that's a trade dispute, a geopolitical conflict, or even a natural disaster in a key mining region, will immediately dictate global prices. And that hits you and me directly in the wallet when we go to buy an EV or set up a solar backup.
Section 4. Merits and demerits. To really get a clear picture in this explainer, we have to impartially weigh the true costs and benefits here, because it is rarely just black and white.
The merits are absolutely undeniable. We get unparalleled portable power that is eco-friendly at the point of use, drastically cutting fossil fuel emissions. EVs require way less maintenance than internal combustion engines, they operate silently, and crucially, they actually make storing renewable energy a reality. But we've got to be realistic about the demerits too. Advanced batteries are still expensive. They have a limited lifespan. They physically degrade over time. Charging is getting better, but it's still noticeably slower than just pumping a tank of gas. We just talked about that intense raw material dependency. And environmental concerns are very real. Battery recycling is still a developing industry, and improper disposal leads to severe chemical pollution. Essentially, we are trading one set of environmental challenges for a completely new set.
Section 5. The solid-state future. Let's move to and see how this builds into the climactic next step of this technological era and how it addresses those exact challenges. So, what exactly is a solid-state battery? Well, right now, the lithium-ion battery in your phone or EV uses a liquid electrolyte to move energy back and forth. But liquid is heavy, it degrades, and let's be honest, carrying around pouches of flammable liquid in our pockets isn't exactly ideal. A solid-state battery simply replaces those liquid components with highly efficient, stable solid materials. It is a massive fundamental shift in the underlying chemistry.
And when you swap out that liquid, it's a real game changer. You get faster charging times, a much longer overall lifespan, substantially higher safety since that flammable liquid risk is totally gone, and crucially, way greater energy density. That means you can pack way more power into the exact same physical space. If you think back to those demerits we literally just discussed, the slow charging, limited life, high weight, solid-state tech directly solves almost all of them. It's kind of the holy grail of battery tech right now. In Japan, China, Korea, and the US, they are all furiously racing to be the first to truly commercialize and dominate it.
The foundational tech is here. The supply chains are fiercely contested, and the next generation of solid-state chemistry is right over the horizon. The nations that lead this technology today are quite literally going to shape the infrastructure of the entire world tomorrow. The battery revolution has undeniably begun. So as this incredible geopolitical and scientific race accelerates, I'll leave you with this to ponder. Who will truly lead our electric future? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and we'll see you on the next one.